Tony Bloom raised a lot of eyebrows in Scotland when he claimed that Hearts can win the league this season, and if not, they can at least finish second. But one man that's getting on the Hearts hype train is Kris Boyd, as he reckons it is snobbery in Scottish football to think that Hearts cannot go on and overtake the top two clubs in the country. Welcome back, guys, to Son of Scotland TV. So we know that Tony Bloom the other day came out and said he believes that Hearts can challenge for the title, and he thinks that Hearts can at least finish second this year. And it appears that Tony Bloom is not writing off Rangers, but he seems to think that Rangers will be second and maybe they won't be as strong as Celtic, and if he is going to split the old firm this season, that it might be with Rangers being the team that miss out on a top two spot. Now, a lot of people have come out and said that Tony Bloom is on crack, Tony Bloom is delusional, Tony Bloom is that, Tony Bloom is this, and some people have said he's even putting pressure on his own manager and it's going to lead to the downfall of Hearts, and they're laughing at the amount of money that he's invested in the club, saying that it's not a lot, blah blah blah, compared to what Rangers and Celtic spend. But it's all about investment. It's all about the analytics. If you look at Tony Bloom's clubs in other countries, in England and Belgium, they don't spend the most amount of money, but they're competitive with what they do spend, and they make the right signings, and they have the right investment, and they have the right analytics to try and bring players in for the cheapest possible price, and then improve them and sell them on. And we've seen this work at Brighton, and Union Saint-Gilloise, I believe, is his team in Belgium. So there's no reason why it can't work at Hearts. But Tony Bloom did say that he would be very, very disappointed if Hearts do not win the league within the next decade, which is positive to hear because he truly must think that it is going to happen. And Kris Boyd also believes it could happen. He said the following on Sky Sports regarding what he calls snobbery from Scottish football, and he thinks that Hearts can potentially win the league because already it looks like Tony Bloom has completely dismissed Rangers. Kris Boyd said, quote, "It works everywhere else. It's snobbery from Scottish football to think it won't work because we have two huge clubs here. For him to come out and say he can turn this around very quickly suggests to me he doesn't really see Rangers or Celtic, especially Rangers, as he's totally dismissed them as any threat to them. He will feel with the analytics he can throw down a challenge. It's ignorance from Scottish football to think it can't be done. It's worked everywhere else." End of quote. And I agree with Boyd. Yes, Celtic and Rangers are the top two teams. Yes, they're much bigger than everyone else, and they've shared the league titles for the last 40 seasons. But sooner, records get broken. Strangleholds on the top positions do get broken. Sooner rather than later, a different team is going to come along and win a title. And yeah, there's a massive gap right now between the top two and the others, but Tony Bloom, he's not going to make that gap disappear overnight. But if he's coming in with the right momentum and the right attitude, and he has got a plan to close the gap and bridge the gap, then why can't he do it? You know, why can't he get Hearts closer? And with every passing season, why can't Hearts get more competitive and get nearer a league title in Scotland? Boyd's right. I mean, it does work elsewhere. We see teams in other countries, you know, come from nowhere really, and all of a sudden they can establish themselves as a top team if they have, you know, a few good years, maybe 5-10 years, where they build properly, sign properly, recruit properly, implement the right tactics, and, you know, run their club properly. So I think that Boyd's spot on. I think that Hearts can do it, but people are just being, I mean, snobbery, ignorant, call it what you want. People just think that Celtic will always be the top team and the only team that can challenge them are Rangers. But sooner rather than later, that's going to change. It has to change. I think that we will see a team win the league, but, you know, is it going to be this season? Probably not. But what, are we going to go the next 100 years with the same two teams at the top? Highly unlikely. You know, sooner or later, one team's going to get the right investment, one team's going to build properly, run their football team properly, and it's going to pay off. And it will pay off with a league title. So, yeah, Kris Boyd coming out saying that it's snobbery for Scottish football to think that a team outside the top two cannot win the league. And I agree with him. Listen, do I think Hearts will win the league this season? No. Do I think Hearts will finish second? No. Do I think Hearts will finish third? I do. And I think they can finish closer. If you look at how big the gap has been over the past, 3-4 seasons or whatnot, I think Hearts can certainly close the gap. Last year, I believe it was 34 points between Celtic and Hibernian in third place. That's a shitload of points between first and third. I think Hearts could certainly close that. What would I consider a success? If Hearts can finish like 25, 20 points within the league leaders, it's a step in the right direction. And then every season, just try and get a little bit closer. Even if it's under 30 points, and then you try and get under 25, then under 20. I mean, if you can just keep improving and closing the gap, then take one step at a time. You know, you're not going to turn a 35-point, 34-point gap. You're not going to make that disappear in one season. And I think if you get things right and you run the club properly, and you have the right people with the correct vision in charge, then yeah, you can, with hard work, close that gap and hopefully at one point overtake them at the top. And that's what I want to see for Hearts. But yeah, Chris Boyd thinks that it can be done. I agree with Chris Boyd. Let us know what you think down below, guys, in the comments, and I will catch you in the next one. Looking forward to the next game against Dundee United. Hopefully win that and go on to 6 points out of 6. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.